Welcome to the WFNL Show, presented by Arrow Transport, proud naming rights partner of the Western Football Netball League. We are a third of the way through the season. Can you believe it? The Belgravia Apparel Netball Competition rolls on. On the weekend, it was sit-down round, not just in the WFNL, but in Victorian football leagues, an initiative to improve behaviour on the sideline and matchday environments through positive and uplifting behaviours. Kel Rowe was a part of that. Nick Boylan's on the WFNL Show with us as well. Kel, how did you go sitting down for the whole match on the weekend?
Well, it was pretty good, although it does make it harder to see on a big oval like Skinner Reserve. Yep. But yeah, a great top-down leadership initiative from the AFL Victoria.
Yeah, especially if you're not elevated, it might be difficult to see if you're a head coach. But yeah,
if you've got a good drainage angle, sometimes difficult too. Yeah.
Yep. Now, sometimes we call you the busiest woman in the WFNL, but someone that might beat you to that title is Leanne Meyer.
Yeah, absolutely. Leanne wears a fair few hats.
Yep.
She'd have me pipped for sure.
She is the Suns' senior women's coach, also a coach of the Western Bulldogs Next Gen Academy and the Interleague under-15 girls as well. She will join us on the audio version of this podcast. And also Stephen O'Malley, who's the Sunshine Heights coach. How's his heart rate? They drew with Braybrook and they beat Auburn-Vale, Nick, by just a goal on the weekend. Thanks to a goal in the final minutes.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild game for Auburn-Vale. It looks like potentially another draw was going to happen for Stephen O'Malley and his side, but the Dragons fought out pretty well after the Cobras sort of pushed things in the last stages of that last quarter, and then up stepped Aaron Williams to not just flush one from like 20 metres out, but from distance to win the game for Sunshine Heights. A really fantastic man. He's been a great recruit the last couple of seasons and paying dividends there.
Yeah, so that's on the audio version of that podcast, of this podcast, the Sunshine Heights, moving up to 5th, replacing Auburn-Vale in Div 2. But let's talk about TIV Division 1. And Nick, we might as well start the game that you were broadcasting, Albion Spotswood, on the weekend. Spotswood in a bit of a slump at the moment.
They are. They've certainly kind of sitting back in a little bit of the middle pack that's sort of starting to form in Division 1. They made finals last year, and it's a bit early to sort of put it through the line through them at the moment, but they kind of lacked a little bit on the weekend against Albion. It was a really helter-skelter game to call, to be perfectly honest. It was sort of had us reaching for the water bottles a few times as well, getting out of breath, but Albion were just able to be a little bit cleaner with ball in hand. And going inside 50, really taking their opportunities a little bit better than Spotswood. They burned the ball a little bit, trying to hit up their forward targets. But no, the Cats looked really good. That was the first time I'd seen them live this year, and they looked really impressive and showing why they've improved so much this season. That high handball game, the McPherson's contributing, as always. Josiah Caristo, I thought, was really good down back as well. And no, the Cats are purring at the moment.
We talked about the middle part of that ladder, teams that are starting to separate themselves, and Hoppers Crossing, if Spotswood's in a bit of a slump, then Hoppers, they were 3-1, but their last two matches, 88-point loss to Caroline Springs. On the weekend, 55 points to Yarraville Seton. Yeah,
the margin, particularly given the ins that they had in that side over the weekend. Harry Maguire comes back, kicks 6. Tyron Thomas and Jared Pollock are both back into the midfield mix, which we thought was kind of lacking a little bit, but even then that wasn't enough to stop a rampaging Yarraville Seton, who are putting really big scores on the board at the moment. That's been a really sort of big feature for them. Brody Catania with 5 and returning Wilkashevsky with 4 as well to match his Werribee teammate Maguire at the other end. So plus a pretty decent highlight on the weekend, which we'll see in a little bit. But yeah, Yarraville Seton are absolutely clicking at the moment. But Hoppers, from going from someone we might have talked about it around a premiership contender, they're fighting to make a final, I think, at the moment.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about TIV Division 1 matches, standout performances, and Div 2 as well. But the St Vincent Private Hospital Werribee Senior Women's, we had a massive build-up, Cal. Parkside against Werribee Central's, 2 unbeaten teams, but didn't live up to the hype, unfortunately.
It did not. I think it was the match that we've all been waiting for, and like you said, a bit of a fizzer in the end. The result remained the same as it has for the past few weeks. The Spurs running out the victory by 100-plus points. So, yeah, disappointing for the Centrals, I can imagine, and possibly disappointing for Spurs, just looking for some really competitive footy and not finding it just yet. But it was a cause for celebration after all, however. Tara Morgan played her 150th game for the Spurs, so real big milestone. That kicked 3 in a milestone game, but also it's just another allocated to add to her list. She's been a premiership captain, she's been a Spurs coach, she's won best club person, and also in recent history was named the vice captain of the Spurs team of the century.
Wow, that's an incredible career she's had, and lots to come this season. We mentioned Yarraville Seddon had a big win over Hoppers in TIV Division 1, and Yarraville Seddon in the women's also had a big win on the weekend.
Yeah, it's their first for the season. They've had a bit of a rough trot since, obviously having a real flying high situation in the final season of season 2025. But I think a lot of people might not realise they've had some personnel change, they've had team structure change, and they've even had a coach change. So it's been good to see them build each week, and even better to see them get the win.
And Div 2, Nick, we mentioned the 1-goal win there for Sunshine Heights, but for North Footscray, they went down to Wyndham Vale the week before. Lyndon Dunn held to 2 in that game. He didn't play on the weekend against Laverton, but they managed to find someone to kick it back.
Yeah, Matt Seraphin sort of reminded everybody. It was like, hey, I used to kick bags before Lyndon got down here, and finished with a lazy 10 goals. Really impressive performance there from the Devils. Quite tight with Laverton at quarter time, but 15 goals to 1 after that first change really sort of put the foot down, and good to fill the boots a little bit after going down in that grand final rematch the previous week.
And Braybrook undefeated in their last 4 because they had the draw the week before. They had a comfortable victory over the Western Rams as well. Let's move on to the week ahead. We might reverse the order here, and Kel will start with St Vincent Private Hospital Werribee Senior Women's and some of the matches you're looking forward to this weekend.
Well, there's 2 that have caught my eye. The matchup between Wyndham Vale and Werribee Centrals will be a big one. We've talked about it before, but in the off-season, Wyndham Vale have picked up a couple of Centurions, so there'll be a bit in it, but it'll also be a pretty well-matched contested footy game, I think. Definitely one to watch on the replay if you can't get down there yourself. And the other one, quite shamelessly, I'm looking forward to is the Battle of the Birds out at Skinner Reserve. We've got Yarraville Seddon playing my team, West Footscray. We finished our season against Yarraville last year, had a really, really close game. It was just probably another one of those really entertaining contested games of football, back and forward, coast-to-coast footy. So looking forward to picking up where we left off and hopefully getting the win this time.
Have the teams changed much compared to last year?
No, I think they've got essentially the core, both sides, but definitely new faces and a couple of, positional and structural changes. But I would imagine there's some repeat matchups that we'll see across the ground, certainly ones I'm looking forward to as well.
Women's League, we've got Parkside that we've spoken about. Wyndham Vale, can Braybrook, are they feeling good about their last 4 matches that they could actually take it up to Wyndham Vale, do you think?
I think that they'll like their opportunities and they'll like their chances, but it's very hard to see sort of any team kind of like going past a very rampaging Falcons side. I think that they're doing what they need to do to win, regardless of the opposition at the moment. But I'm keen to sort of see how sort of things go. I think that Sam Clifford's been in one of the signings of the season across to both divisions of men's footy at the moment. I think him coming across has been really good for Braybrook. Kicked a bag of goals, 5 on the weekend, showing his sort of versatility as someone who can kick goals for that side, but also be a really steady midfield performance when he needs to as well. And it should be a half-decent game. But, yeah, the Falcons, I think, will be a little bit too strong.
TIV Division 1 Senior Men's, what are some matches you're looking forward to in the week ahead? Yeah,
there's a couple sort of jumping out, I think, that probably wouldn't have jumped out before. I think Sunshine and Caroline Springs should be interesting to kind of see where the Kangas are at. Caro had a really big win over the weekend with Malik Al-Fakani kicking 8 goals. It's 3 weeks in a row he's kicked 5+, so he's on fire at the moment, and so are the Lakers. So it'll be a good opportunity to see sort of where Guy Barbudo's side has been. We've talked about sort of their resurgence or their resurgence this year. So we'll kind of see how far that goes against one of the premiership fancies. But the danger game, I think, particularly with Brett Uri talks about Hoppers Crossing and how they're going against Albion, who I did see on the weekends. I think that really shapes as a season-defining game really for both sides. Hoppers need to win that to keep in touch, need to keep their season alive. But Albion see this as a really good opportunity to show, hey, we've actually come up the ladder and playing some really strong footy of our own this year. We want to take a scalp, and Hoppers are there for the taking if they want to do it.
Yep, looking forward to that. You mentioned Sunshine against Caroline Springs. On Media Day, before the season started, we caught up with Jack Noonan. Kangaroos, as Nick mentioned, currently 5th on the ladder in TIV Division 1, and in reserves they're currently 4th as well. So let's hear from Jack Noonan, his thoughts before the season got underway.
With transition sort of into Division 1 last year, how, I guess, the club kind of shaping up for a second crack at things this year? Like, what's been sort of the major building blocks ahead of 2026?
So I think definitely the recruiting in the off-season's been massive for us with lads who are looking for that senior opportunity and develop their football, and probably becoming more of a tight group outside of football as well, and probably just the extra training sessions. Like, it's pretty easy to just rock up, do your 1 and 2 sessions a week, and then not put in the extras behind the scenes, which I feel like a lot of the groups brought in this year, which has been really positive for the group. So looking forward to it.
You talk about sort of building that culture and sort of like trying to grow together a little bit more off the field. What sort of stuff have you guys been doing to try to sort of put in place to really increase that chemistry and that sort of community at the club?
On the off night, there'll be one person will message like the group chat and just say, hey, I'm going for a run or a kicking session. Feel free to come down. And a lot of the boys really, we've been having 20, 30 people there most sessions, or could be a running, beach recovery session, and yeah, same thing. Plenty of people are rocking up, which is good. So,
can you talk about sort of some of the people who've come into the club and who's really sort of impressed you walking into a Kangaroos jersey for the first time?
Andrew Butler from he come along from St Kevin's with Ollie Doyle and Tom Davidson. Those three have really impressed me, bringing that VAFA experience. Ben Maziol, he's another one with EDFL experience, senior footy, so his leadership's been really good too.
Heading now after sort of, trying to get things set up a little bit more in Division 1 last year, what, I guess, do you as a playing group kind of see as a bit of a pass mark for you guys this year? Obviously, like, everyone wants to contend for a flag, but what are really sort of the things either from a game to game basis or more sort of holistically through the season, what are you trying to improve on this year?
Probably just being in the game, for the entire game. Last year we had a lot of patches where it could be 15, 20 minutes where we really let the opposition dominate us, and we want to make sure that's only 5, 10 minutes what it be, and just be competitive in every game really. And finals was definitely the aim, but yeah, we'll see how we go.
What sort of stuck out to you the most, I think, sort of coming up and then sort of maybe sort of implementing a little bit more sort of through the preseason, or a little bit more maybe with your game plan this year, that you're feeling like that, okay, we need to sort of change a couple of things to really sort of compete?
I think just having a real basic, clear mindset has been the key. Last year we probably had a few different things, and some boys didn't understand sort of what we were doing, and this year, especially being a very new group, we've sort of had to get onto that pretty early and just have a very specific, basic game plan. So,
all right, we have covered off basically all levels of footy across the weekend, men's and women's. Here's Jordan Dalliston now with the latest from the Belgravia Apparel Netball Competition.
Exciting past couple of weeks in the Belgravia Apparel Netball Competition. We've had Women in Sports round. That was a really exciting round for our comp, recognising all the diverse women that take the court every week representing the league. We had 8 marquee matches where the winning team was awarded a Women in Sports plaque trophy for their club rooms, which was really great. We have had some really tight contests between all of our divisions. Division 3 once again is looking like it's our strongest division leading into finals time. Division 1 and 2, we've got 3 teams that are undefeated currently: Auburn Cobras, Lakers and Hawks Sapphire. In the men's, we've seen our first draw of the season, the last round just gone, between Sunshine Alexander and Auburn Cobras men white. It was a 37-all game. It was a really close competitive game, lots of athleticism on show. The men's is ticking along really nicely. It is a very short season for them, so they've got a lot to prove in a short amount of time. And we're looking forward towards our future Pride round and NAIDOC round, and then finals a bit down the line. Association Champs is not far away now. 14th of June is a Sunday. We take on some of the best leagues in Victoria at the State Netball Centre. We are welcoming back Rhiannon Reddy, Auburn Cobras. She will be rejoining us from the interleague team last season. And Mon Polico, the head coach for Sunshine, back again. And then we welcome in a new addition as a specialised coach, Ephraim Ormsby. Ephraim, everyone knows him as E, is the head coach at Hoppers Crossing this season, and his teams are having a really strong season. The girls are excited. The team has been assembled and we have 2 trainings in the next 2 weeks leading into the big day. We're excited for what's to come. We're hopeful we might make finals this season. Overall, we just want the girls to have a really positive experience representing the league and for our coaches to feel supported by us. We're excited, it's not far away now, so I'm looking forward to updating you all in the coming weeks.
Guys, at training, have you ever had drills or just a bit of fun at the end where you try and kick the ball into a wheelie bin? Yep, yes. Many times. How do you go with that?
Shocking. I forget how to kick.
Do you think you'd go better if it was a shipping container?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. It'd be a bit of a different one. I can't say I've ever really had too much success with kicking the ball into the bin. I can't say I had much success, kicking a ball regardless. That's why I'm on the other side of the fence at the moment in a caravan calling the footy. So, but yes, a shipping container. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, it is time to get stuck into our second challenge of the Arrow Transport Challenge Series. Next up, the shipping container goal kicking challenge.
Get moving with Arrow.
We're here for the Arrow Transport Challenge with the Western Football Netball League, competing with different teams and different players.
Megan Baster from Werribee Central Football Club.
Jamie Day from the Albion Football Club. Connor Sutler, Truganina Football Club.
Hazel McCafferty, Westwood Square Football Club.
Okay, let's take a look at the Skin Special Effort Award winners from last week. The award recognising a special effort on the footy field and the netball court across both senior and junior competitions. All recipients will receive a pair of compression tights thanks to Skins. Okay, it is Plays of the Week time, guys. We'll see that roll in shortly, but some big bags or some standout performances across the weekend that you think might feature in Plays of the Week, Nick?
It was good to see the fluttering blonde hair of Will Krzyzewski back at Yarraville Seddon, and the hair was up in the sky like Will was, and took a pretty decent mark on the weekend. So always good to see him back in Eagles colours. But we talked about some of the big bags of goals on the weekend. The goals are good, but sometimes the celebrations that we can really sort of latch onto. And Dan Rosenweig is probably one of the best celebrators. Not in Western football, not in local football, I think in football that I've ever seen.
Wow.
Some of the ones on...
Jack Noonan and...
Yeah, I was going to say a bit of Jack Ginnivan, a bit of Josh Rochelle, a bit of Tom Papley, let everybody know. But it genuinely felt like he was, spamming celebrations like in a sports video game. They're just... The goals got, were pretty good, but every time the celebration would just go up the other way. There was a lot of championship belts like around, a bit like, it's almost like a Steve Novak New York Knicks reference, which is a bit of a deep cut probably for people who watch a lot of basketball. But and then he was able to crown himself as the king over in the clubroom side. And then he kicked his fifth and final one in the last quarter and proceeded to give everyone in Spotswood a wave. And I'm not talking about the players on the field or the coaching staff. He probably actually went to Spotswood to give them a wave and then come back and actually kick more goals. So that's fine. So.
I was going to say, I think everyone bar Spotswood, anyone involved with Spotswood would be enjoying that. I'm sure they have long memories. Some big bags on the weekend in women's footy that might feature here?
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if we didn't see something from Kayla Ravellino from Laverton. She kicked 7 on the weekend. A teammate, Molly Piana, kicked 5, so big bags for Lavo. In that same game, we celebrated a 100 gamer in Danny Menzies from North Footscray. I reckon there might also be some footage of Tara Morgan in her milestone game kicking 3. And yeah, probably even a little mention there for 100-gamer Matilda Brown from Suns.
Okay, very good. It is Plays of the Week time. Plenty of great highlights from the weekend in senior footy. Here's the best of them.
The ball's here now, it's pressure. Caleb McPherson back towards Garisso, finally a kick, long inside 50, looking for Cooper Muir. The bounce evades him, comes back towards his opponent, Blake Muir later, strong tackle, now a flying shot, a goal out of the congestion, and I think it might be a goal. From out of nothing, Aaron Law.
All right, time to get stuck into our match of the day. It's a game that we haven't mentioned as yet. TIV Division 1 senior men. Yes, Point Cook Central's and Altona. 2:30 first bounce. Sportscast Australia broadcasting this. Watch it via the local footy hub or listen via 88.9 Win FM. The reason why this is match of the round, I guess, is we've got two young developing sides here, Nick.
We do. Obviously, Point Cook Central's yet to salute this season. And Altona just with the one win over Newport under lights a few weeks ago. And, both sides going through a fair bit of transition at the moment. Point Cook Central's particularly as well have had a pretty decent list sort of turnover in the last couple of seasons. We've already talked about a couple of faces who used to be former Sharks, lighting things up in the WFNL. But it's a different group now for Point Cook Central's and a younger one. It's really important that we're kind of seeing that, the success of these younger groups that are sticking together over a period of time and eventually sort of getting that success, quite similar to sort of Yarraville Seddon in the last couple of years, really starting to put things together. So there's definitely something there for the Sharks, and they'll have a good test against Altona this weekend. Altona probably have got a little bit more experience running out there, particularly with the skipper Ethan Taylor, who saw as a young player in a grand final against Deer Park back in 2019, the first year I was sort of following the league, and now he's the captain of that group. Really sort of different sort of position for them, but I think Altona will like their chances on the weekend, try to get on the road down to Shark Park and see if they can get their second win of the year.
Yes, Point Cook Central's and Altona, two sides under new leadership. Young lists, as we mentioned, Winora Way Reserve in Point Cook, 2:30 first bounce. And thanks to the local footy hub, you can also now live stream Belgravia Apparel Netball Competition matches. Head to local footy hub /stream on a Friday night to catch some of the key netball matchups taking place each week. Third of the way through the season, Kel, it is this sort of time of year where the whips start cracking, we start to see the pretenders and the contenders separate themselves, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly reflective of that in the women's competition. We've got our outliers, but I think for the next couple of weeks, we'll see some really close contested games, which is, really what you want out of football.
Yep, looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting you both back on the WFNL show. Kel, Nick, thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you.
The WFNL show proudly supported by Arrow Transport.